rolling tumors to roaring lampooners, the Tigers on a Roll show starts in 3, 2, 1.
What is up, Auburn family, and welcome back to the Tigers on a Roll podcast. Are you breathing a sigh of relief? A massive sigh of relief? Because I am. Maybe not for long, but it was certainly nice to win one. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't clean, but I don't care. A win is a win, and the Tigers went into Fayetteville and got it done 33-24 to snap a 4-game losing streak. After an absolutely wild fourth quarter comeback, special teams keeping us in the game, the Tigers did it. And they fed Cobb. Sorry, R.I.P. Damari. They fed Cobb against a bad run D. And we will touch on that, and we will take a look around the athletic department for the Tigers on a Prowl segment, as we do every Monday. It is Monday, October 27th. The Tigers are 4-4 now. The hunt for a bowl game is officially back on, and let's get rolling. I called last week's episode in the Desperation Bowl, and man, it lived up to the name. For the entire first half, it was the same old story. We get an early 7-0 lead on a crazy 23-yard one-handed touchdown grab by Cam Coleman from Jackson this time. And we add a field goal to go up 10-0. And we're feeling good, but it's in the back of our mind that should not always be a good feeling for Auburn, because they have not been able to close out games, especially when you're getting that lead early in the game, which is exactly what happened after that. Then comes the collapse. Arkansas scores 21 unanswered points, and right before the half, Jackson throws an 89-yard pick six to make it 21-10. And Arkansas, at the break, has the stadium rocking, and Auburn's losing streak looks like it will be hitting 5 games. But Auburn, fortunately, did not have to slap on any new names on the coaching wish list after this weekend, because they ended up getting it done with Hugh Freeze making the decision at halftime to get Ashton Daniels meaningful reps, and he made the decision that seemed to have saved the game, and maybe the season in his job depended on getting Ashton Daniels in the game. And getting Ashton some game time will certainly dictate how the next couple games will go for Auburn. At the end of the episode, we're going to touch on Ashton's redshirt issue right now, which is there are too many games left in the season to have Ashton Daniels start or play in those games for Auburn, which is a predicament that I have never seen before, and I've been an Auburn fan since the early 90s. Like, I don't know any college that is worth a damn has ever had it happen. But he benches Jackson Arnold, puts in the seasoned Ashton Daniels, and look, Daniels did not have, he didn't come in and light up the scoreboard like Joe Montana, but it was serviceable. And it was a composed quarterback on the field for the Tigers, probably for the first time all season. He finishes for 6 for 8, 77 yards through the air, some additional rushing yardage, and we got what we needed from him. We needed someone who would will the offense down the field a couple times in one half with some semblance of efficiency, and Daniels came in and led 3 straight scoring drives to start the second half. All field goals, but points nonetheless, which we just had not had the last few games. And those drives bring us to the real heroes of this football game, the defense and the special teams. And we're definitely starting with Alex, because I just talked about it. The man was the entire offense as far as the scoreboard was concerned. Outside of a very early touchdown, he hit a career-high 6 field goals from 23, 43, 26, 47, and 37 yards. And he was automatic on them, finally. And add in a blocked punt by Justin Jones and a special teams unit that just willed Auburn's way to stay in the game to the end of it. Score was 24-19 Arkansas in the fourth quarter, and that's when DJ Durkin's defense decided to just go win the game for the first time this season. Rayshawn Pleasant, who was flying all over the field. What amazing transfer addition. Steps in front of a Taylor Green pass and takes it almost 50 yards to the house for a pick six. Auburn takes the lead 27-24. We had not seen that once this year. And Auburn's defense, although it's been elite, has not had the scoring defense to outweigh the woes that the Auburn offense has had in their lack of scoring success. And right after Pleasant's interception for the tutty, the pick six, we'll call it, separate offense and defense, Arkansas's next drive, Debo Atkins come in, true freshman Debo Atkins, by the way. One-man wrecking crew, has been all season, leads like the nation in solo tackles right now. 13 tackles in this game, 4 for a loss, 2 sacks, forces a fumble on this drive right after we get the pick six. We recover the fumble. McPherson kicks another field goal, 30-24 Auburn. Maybe now we're feeling good towards the end of the game. We've got this lead that we've been used to in the first half of games, and we are finally doing something to get the ball down the field in the end zone, whether it's on offense or defense, which is going to be the recipe to win out, certainly against Vandy and definitely against Alabama. And to seal the deal, Rayshawn Pleasant does it again. Picks off Taylor Green for a second time in one quarter. McPherson kicks his 6th field goal, and that is ball game, and that is also a record for field goals made in a game for Alex McPherson, who has been suffering from Crohn's disease and got his intestine removed, and all of the trials and tribulations he has been in. He succeeded and exceeded his own expectations in this game, setting a career high. Absolutely incredible stuff from the special teams. Definitely incredible stuff from the defense, forcing 4 turnovers in the 4th quarter alone. An absolute mugging by Durkin's unit, and the Tigers are now 4-4 and 1-4 in the SEC for what that's worth. And now we're just 2 wins away from, in our last 4 games, from going to a bowl game. So Kentucky, at Vandy, Mercer, and Bama. We need to win 2 of those games, and we go bowling for the first time in like 3 years. And the season has life. And I don't know how everyone's feeling about Hugh Freeze's job. I don't really care, to be honest, because as long as the boys are out there and the locker room is still together, the season still has life. But it wasn't just football that had a good week. So let's check in on some other teams that were repping the orange and blue last week. We've got Auburn Volleyball on an absolute tear last week. They had a huge 2-0 swing towards the end of their season. They started by taking down Arkansas at home 3-1. And then after late in the week, I actually believe it was Saturday morning, then they went on the road to Norman, Oklahoma, and beat Oklahoma in 4 sets over the weekend, Sunday morning, sorry. And that is a massive week for the volleyball program as they build their NCAA tournament resume. And over on the links, the men's and women's golf teams were busy, and women's were traveling to Hawaii. They are wrapping up the Nanea Invitational probably tomorrow at the latest. And then the men's squad is in Tulsa, finishing the Clerico Cup, hosted by Oral Roberts. Overall, a really strong week for the Tigers, football, and a lot of our other varsity sports, which brings us to the week ahead to see if those teams can stay on a roll. This week is jam-packed as a lot of these fall sports are getting into their postseason play. Again, you have men's and women's golf are going to wrap up their tournaments tomorrow and Wednesday, respectively. And volleyball will go on a tough road trip. They're at South Carolina on Wednesday and then at Georgia on Sunday. They are still receiving votes for top 25 rankings, and hopefully the girls can close out the season with some tight victories over some experienced competition in those 2 SEC teams. Cross country is heading to Knoxville for the SEC championships, so shout out to them. Let's hope that goes well for the Tigers, for the cross country team. And another lesser followed sport, swim and dive, will be in Knoxville this week for a meet. I believe they are matching up against Tennessee and Louisville up in Knoxville. Equestrian will be back on the road after just going through Texas. They went to SMU and I believe they won. They won one. They beat. Let's see. They beat SMU on raw points, and then they lost to A&M on raw points, all in 1 week. And then they are going back, though. They will be facing TCU on Friday. And soccer, proud of them for what they were able to accomplish this season. Certainly, that staff has put together a few good seasons, and I think that the culmination of that right now is their appearance as a 12 seed in the SEC tournament on Sunday in Pensacola, Florida. They will be kicking off, I think it's like 8 p.m., something like that, on Sunday against 5-seeded LSU. But there are two even bigger events than all of those Auburn sports that we want to be following and supporting. You have got, first, Auburn basketball is back. That exhibition game in Birmingham was a lot of fun, but a small venue. Auburn is going to show up in Atlanta for this basketball team this week, and they are playing on Thursday night. They will be in Atlanta for another major exhibition in State Farm Arena against the Memphis Tigers. Another huge test and another look for all the Auburn fans to see how the new pieces are going to come together for Stephen Pearl's young squad. And you know, I think that whether or not you were happy with the way that game ended up in Birmingham, I thought that was ultimately still a really good showing against Oklahoma State. And you've got to remember that this entire team, first of all, we're going to be a lot smaller on defense and offense, obviously. And you're going to have to get used to the way that Auburn is going to play a lot of these games. But, you know, for the very first outing after a coaching change only a couple weeks before the season, and retaining a lot of our stud younger players and keeping kids out of the portal, which they were entitled to go into because of the coaching change, for them to show up in Birmingham and play as hard as they did. I believe that went to double overtime. It might have been single overtime, but the Tigers ultimately fell to OSU, but they looked fine. Ultimately, they looked fine, and we'll see them again after a couple more weeks of practice and the boys gelling together a little bit better. We will be able to see them in Atlanta. And, you know, obviously Birmingham can be a stronghold for Auburn fans, but Atlanta certainly is. And hopefully the tickets are available to folks who want to go watch that exhibition game and cheer on the Tigers and see if they can't turn the corner briefly and get you know, go 1-1 in preseason play to get the season started. I believe they're playing Bethune-Cookman for their very first regular season game. But I'm gonna have to double check on that. But that's the week after. That's the week after. So we'll cover that on next week's Tigers on the Prowl segment. But to finish off this week's segment, the main event. Auburn football is back in Jordan-Hare. We're hosting Kentucky Saturday night. Somehow we got another night game, and that is one of the biggest blessings in a season full of disappointments that Auburn has had. We consistently get primetime games because there is a stark contrast between Jordan-Hare during the day. Sure, it's loud, and obviously Auburn shows out. Always, probably, you know, it's been a sellout for the last 4 straight seasons, but the juice is coming back. We've got to win. Night game is just, you get to see the fireworks, you get to see the lasers, you get to see yada, 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 yada. I mean, the whole thing is just a different experience, and that helps the fan engagement, but it also helps get in the head of these opponents and see if we can't, you know, play some mind games with them and scare them even more than, you know, Debo Atkins coming through the gap and blowing up your quarterback. I mean, goodness gracious. But anyway, military appreciation game is Saturday night, and the school wants fans to wear navy blue this weekend. And I've seen a lot of discourse on social media. People don't understand why the athletic department wants people to do, you know, themed games. Well, the power stripe and things like that are a little bit more difficult to organize, and it looks good on photographs, I guess. But games like this, like when you want to do a whiteout game or you want to do like a navy blue game, guess what? You got guys. Say Alabama is playing away games in their all white unis because Auburn wears navy blue. You Alabama fans might also be wearing white. Like you want to wash them out. So Kentucky comes to town. They want to wear navy blue. Kentucky's primary color is blue. I get it that like in a losing season, people don't love the idea of being told what to wear to games, but there's an essence to it that matters to some extent on like the way that it affects the visuals and obviously on a primetime spot, you're on national television. This will never be a problem at Auburn, but Auburn's done it to people. You never want to be on national television and have the away crowd basically outnumber your home team. So you wear blue, you wash out their blue, you make everything look a little bit better. The stadium looks fuller, and maybe it even looks like everyone there is there for the Auburn Tigers, which with how bad Kentucky has been recently, maybe they are coming to see a marginally better football program. But another winnable game for the Auburn Tigers. Kentucky's certainly struggling. They've lost 2 straight, including a really ugly one to Vanderbilt and a blowout loss to Florida. Their offense is having a lot of the same problems ours is, but their defense is good. It's always good, but it's nothing like ours. So as long as we can capitalize on what we did well this past weekend, it might be another get right game for Auburn. Last week was the Desperation Bowl, and that was a need to win game. You win this one, go back-to-back wins, that's a get right game, and you got the monkey off your back in Arkansas. You can come home now, protect your house, get to 5-4, and the biggest question of the week, like without a doubt, would be who starts a quarterback, and that's going to probably determine how this game goes. Like, does Hugh go back to Jackson? Or does Ashton Daniels get to start after managing to pull out the win on last Saturday? Personally, I think you have to ride with Daniels. Like, he's earned it. There's no question about that. It wasn't amazing, but it was good. But we will see what Hugh does with the quarterbacks as we get closer to game day, because as of today, Monday's press conference, he was non-committal on who will be breaking the huddle on Saturday. And he was suggesting, I think, that it was more or less a QB battle going into the week. But there is a clear-cut answer right now, as far as I'm concerned, on who you want leading your team, on the first drive of this game against Kentucky at home. But if I had to guess, I want Ashton. But if I had to guess, Jackson's confidence is like pretty much shattered, and his time leading the Auburn offense is probably over. But Hugh and him go to like couples therapy weekly, so. Maybe he runs him out there, and the plan, to preserve another game of Ashton's red shirt is like what dictates who starts this game. And it's something that they talked about. They've talked about Ashton would redshirt this year so that he's available for the room next year. And if he plays, actually just in general, he's already played. So he's mathematically, it's impossible for Ashton to play in all of the rest of the games and preserve that red shirt. So they've got to decide what they want to do. And right now it's either Ashton plays these SEC matchups and Jackson and Deuce split the Mercer game, which if that happens, Jackson Arnold's out of this program. 5-star plus gets benched at both colleges he's played for. And then you're starting him. You don't start him for the rest of the SEC schedule, but you start him against Mercer. He might cry on the field if that happens, but that might be what has to happen, just so you can go kind of halvesies with him and Deuce that game, and have your future kind of figured out with preserving Ashton, getting Deuce some reps and what have you. But that's probably how that goes in the Mercer game. They'll just exclusively split that up and Ashton sits. I don't know, but when Hugh's in front of a camera and a microphone, the guy tends to spill the beans. So. I can only imagine that we'll get a much clearer look at how he envisions the offense, looking going into the Kentucky game, and wow, what a difference a week makes. We're talking about winning games, QB's playing well, not Hugh Freeze's hot seat, yada yada yada. But what a difference a week makes. We go from total despair to having a realistic path to a bowl game, and then still looking at an 8-4 season. I know I've been saying it for a couple weeks, but like the games that we lost, I predicted us to lose. Like this was not super surprising. It's just unfortunate that that's still a circumstance that we're in. But we are still looking at an 8-4 season if you can bring Bama to Jordan-Hare and figure out a way to win. You know, they came back to win a game against South Carolina, who I think South Carolina's worse than Auburn. Obviously not on the power rankings, but like Auburn could probably beat South Carolina. And they were winning up until like the 6 minutes to go in the game. So we'll see. I mean, the defense is playing lights out. Special teams has looked very special recently, obviously. Memory like a goldfish on the football field. 2 weeks ago, the kid couldn't hit a kick. Last week, he sets a career record. That's just college football, baby. Like, that's what we love about it. But they're looking special. Hudson Cott kind of figured it out. I think he only had one opportunity to punt, but it wasn't atrocious. And then obviously we had a ton of return yards. I'm actually really surprised that Pleasant didn't score on those. But we'll, back home under the lights in Jordan-Hare, and we'll see what they bring to this game. What's your prediction for the Kentucky game? I know we got some guys in the chat. If you're still out there, feel free to drop a score prediction for this Kentucky game, because I'm feeling a lot better about this game than I was going into the Arkansas game. And who do you think should start at QB? Let me know. You can find us here on Twitch, on YouTube, on Twitter, all at Tigers on a Roll. But that's that. And I hope, bring the conversation off into the other social media channels. But for the time being, that's all the time we got. I got to get in a quick read from our sponsors, and let me get those out, because I promised them that we would do live reads, and away we go. Brahma Marketing is your one-stop shop for everything from signs and apparel to high-impact vehicle wraps. As a certified 3M graphics company, they guarantee quality and durability. Promotional products, custom embroidery, commercial fleet branding, Brahma can do it all, and at a great price, too. They've partnered with Graystar Real Estate, Prisma Health, HD Supply, and more. Stop blending in and start standing out. Visit BrahmaMarketing.com to get started on your next project. A big War Eagle from the Orlando Auburn Club. Are you an Auburn alum or fan living in the Orlando area? This is more than just a club. It is your official connection to the Auburn family right here in Central Florida. The club hosts game watch parties, networking events, community engagement, including the Florida Citrus Sports Feast at the 50, and a freshman send-off for new students heading to the Plains. If you want to connect with fellow alumni and give back to the next generation of Tigers, have a great time doing it, you should get involved. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and online at orlandooburnclub.org. All right, folks, that is officially all the time we have for today on Tigers on a Roll. And until next time, be loud, be proud, and stay on a roll. War Eagle.